Welcome to Jon Ferrian Live. How the heck is everybody doing tonight? Folks, come on in. This is going to be an awesome show. We're going to have a good time. And guess what, guys? Like it's Skidoo night, and to celebrate Skidoo night, I brought my twisted A arm from my tree entry. For anybody who watches me, Jon Ferrian's Facebook page, you got to see Edith record a video of me doing this really cool. I was looking cool, man. It was like a re-entry, like all the cool kids do, and I did right into a tree entry. So it's now Craig Goldhauser, my buddy out in North Dakota. He coined the term tree entry. So if you guys do a re-entry or a bow tie, and you hit a tree like I did, and you smoke your A-arm like I did, it's a tree entry. So come on in, have some fun. We're going to have a blast tonight, talking Skidoo mostly. We're going to touch a little bit on the Lynx sleds a little bit tonight, but we are going to be here tonight with you guys. Have an awesome time. So by the way, the show tonight is sponsored by my good buddies at Fly Racing. Fly Racing actually just held their ambassador ride. That's where I was at this weekend out in McCall. We were out there Friday and Saturday riding. Got to ride with Colin from Fly. I got to ride with Ron from Fly. I got to ride with the boys from Boondock Nation. That was quite a treat. And I got to ride with Andy Croning out of Colorado, as well as Lyric Murphy out of Wyoming. We had a blast. It was so much fun. But you guess what, guys? Fly Racing is putting up a windproof jersey just for all of you guys sharing the show tonight. So every time we do the show like this, you share it out, you're automatically entered to win an awesome prize. And tonight's prize is a $75 value. It's a windproof jersey. I was rocking this weekend. It's an amazing jersey for riding. It's windproof, almost water resistant, waterproof borderline. But it's a great spring riding jersey without a jacket. You can wear it mid-season, kind of keep you warm, but it's got good ventilation out the back. So all right, guys, I'm going to kill the music, and I'm going to bring you guys somebody who, this is the cool part, guys. I knew this guy before he was famous. That's the best part. All right, I knew I got him to laugh. Here he comes. So here comes Jon in 3, 2, and 1. Buddy, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, Jon? Good to see you.
Good. Like that's my claim to fame now is I knew Jon Gibbs before he was a Skidoo ambassador, before he was famous.
I know.
Like,
I think I saw you eat the biggest lobster ever.
Pretty close, pretty darn close. Holy smokes. So this is awesome. Like, Mr. Jon Gibbs, I've known you, geez, it's probably been 2-3 years or more. I bet that we've been following each other on Facebook back and forth. And I remember, I don't even remember where I was driving, but I was in my truck doing a long haul drive. And something I saw like that you had posted just inspired me to reach out to you. And I remember you and I spending, it was like 45 minutes the first time. It was like a year ago or more, a year and a half ago, maybe even it was. And, we spent a bunch of time just chatting and right away I could tell, man, we were cut from the same cloth, buddy. It's not to mention, two good looking guys named Jon. You can't beat that, right? Like, I mean, what the heck?
Right.
How can you go wrong there? Jon and Jon show tonight.
Yeah, right.
But we have, so much in common from an idea of like how do we grow the sport? How do we make it fun and safe for everybody? And you had started like a bunch of like pages, but specifically you're heavily involved in the Nest page as well as Skidoo, one of the Skidoo pages. But I don't want to put all words in your mouth.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about the pages you were doing, and then as you do that, give us a little background on who the heck is Jon Gibbs? Like, is he some random dude from New Hampshire? What do we need to know about Jon Gibbs?
Right. So generally just a country boy from the backwoods of Maine. I live in New Hampshire now, and we do a lot of riding, a lot of snowmobiling. We don't have, the elevation terrain, so it's mostly trail. We do have off-trail riding, but we just don't have any elevations here in the Northeast. So that's a challenge for us there. So we run, I own and run New England Sled Talk, which is out of New England, and then Skidoo Owners Club. Both great groups, great group of people, and we're just trying to help each other, help the sport grow, try to answer questions, problems, just try to help each other out, fellow riders, anything we can do to try to help each other is grow the sport,
Yeah. And then the Ferrian family went on their epic summer vacation
That's
and
right.
ended up in your backyard, literally. You and
That's
Heidi
right.
Munson. We ended up having lobster dinner. Like I was down
That's right.
with another John actually down in
Yeah,
Boston.
John Chalias. Yeah.
Shalias, right? So John Shalias was with he like I was in Boston cruising around and I'd post like, "Hey, I landed in Boston, getting ready to have a great vacation." And John's like, "Hey, I got a boat down at Boston
That's right.
Harbor down here, like at the harbor if you want to come down and come on it. We'll go at lobster. We'll go catch some lobsters." And we went out
Right.
there and we reeled up some, out of some baskets out of the
Sure.
water and man,
Yeah.
there was no crap. Like there was one lobster that his
Oh
paw
yeah.
was the size of my head. Like this thing was the
Oh
biggest
yeah.
lobster I have ever, eaten for sure, if not seen in my life. And we brought him
Oh,
up. He was still alive when we brought him up the next day
that's
to
right.
Heidi's place, and you joined us. You lived just down the street from Heidi Munson,
Yeah.
and man, we had such a good time. And we did a live. That was
Yeah.
your first opportunity to come on John Frame
That's
Live.
right.
We did the show with
Yeah.
Heidi first, and then we, had you come on a little bit.
Right.
And even at that
You
point,
remember?
you weren't even officially a Skidoo ambassador yet, right?
No, no, no. You remember it was 110 degrees that day?
Oh yeah, I think if you go back and watch John Friend live, you'll probably see like pit stains and neck burn, all the kinds of
Oh,
stuff. Man, it was
oh,
just
I'll
like
never forget
smoking
that.
hot out there that day. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was a good
Oh, good
time.
times. It
Yeah,
was good
yeah.
times.
And so I think that's the first thing I want to tackle, John, is like, since I got to meet you, quote unquote, before you were famous. By the way, if I haven't already mentioned this, guys, is drop it in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. Anybody who's watching right now, let us know where you're watching from. Drop it in the comments. Let us know what you're riding. This is a Skidoo show tonight, but drop it
Right,
in the comments
right.
and let us know. Like, are you riding Skidoo? You riding Polaris? You riding Arctic Cat? You riding Yamaha? Guess what? The John and John show, we love all of you guys, like no matter
That's
what
right.
you ride, but I would love to get some insight. And, as I did this teaser, John, somebody said like, this is a great idea. We should do this with some of the other brands too. And like,
Sure.
why not? Like what, let's
Right,
do it. But guess
right.
what? Somebody's got to be first. It might as well be
That's right.
my favorite brand. Like you guys know, I ride Skidoo. I got 3 of them in the garage.
Yeah,
It's a good
that
time.
Skidoo feeling.
That's good. Like, I did a tree entry with my Skidoo Turbo. Like,
That's right.
the turbo helped me hit the tree really fast. Like,
I bet. That looks so fun.
it was so I can't watch that video without just laughing out loud every time I watch it. Like,
Yeah,
because it's one of those moments where it's like, do I post it and cut off the end where nobody can see what
right,
happened,
right,
or do I
right.
just put it all out there full kimono? And I'm like, it's way too funny to not share with
Yeah,
everybody. So,
that was
all
great.
right. So how did John Gibbs work his way into a Skidoo ambassador role? Like it's pretty amazing. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a little jealous. Like, I've loved Skidoo forever. I actually did Skidoo influencer program for a couple of years out here for the Mountain Crew, regional program, but you were a legit Skidoo ambassador, which is quite a alumni of people involved in that. I mean,
Yes, there is, super blessed, just super blessed, and, to go out and meet and ride with some of the talent that I've been watching, for 20 years was just phenomenal. It was awe-inspiring, meeting Brett and Rasmussen, Jeremy Mercier, Steve Martin, Tony Jenkins, all these guys, Stephanie Dean, they were all just rocking kick-ass riders with great attitudes, all looking to kill it, have a good time, have fun. It was just such an epic time, and it's a lot to get here. It's a lot of, well, as you know, it's a lot of volunteer work, a lot of
yeah,
volunteer time, donations to clubs, not bashing, not brand bashing, having a good attitude, you know, trying to help others, trying to grow the sport, trying to bring new riders into the sport. Having a social media presence
yeah,
helps as well, as you know, and
yeah,
it's just feel truly blessed to be around those
yeah.
guys, and it was an epic time. It just was.
Well, step one of being any kind of a sponsored rider or an ambassador of any kind is it's a whole lot of work. Like I'll just tell
Oh
you,
yes,
like
it is.
all these brands at the top of the screen up here above our heads, like all of them, I put time and effort and work. This whole weekend I was out there. We were doing photo shoots. We're always constantly posting some pictures, talking about the products and the brands and stuff. It's awesome when a company like Skidoo or for me the other companies I work with when they recognize your contributions to the sport and ask you to join their team. It's kind of
It
almost
is.
like they're joining your team as if you think
Right,
about it. It's a little bit of a role
right.
reversal a little bit. But
Sure.
It's super cool to be part of that, and you got to go
It
to
is.
the new launch, right? The new model launch or the product launch
Right.
here, and I've
Yes,
been
we did.
told, just to be clear, everybody, I've been told that we cannot ask John where he was at for that, new model release. It was an undisclosed private location. Can't tell anybody, but it was epic. Like, and it had lots of
Yes.
snow, and it
Yes.
had some mountains. I heard so somewhere in the
Yes.
west. That's all we know. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but so
My first time
yeah.
ever hitting out west, so it
Yeah. So
was
without giving away any trade secrets here, like tell us
yeah.
about just the experience of the event. Like how do you get invited to this event? What's the travel to get there like? Once you arrive, like what are you experiencing? Like when do you get like what's it like getting to see the sleds for the first time? Like just talk us through like the
Yeah.
experience of the event.
Sure, sure. So it being my first event, couldn't sleep the whole night before
Oh, I bet.
because you got to get up on the plane and then you're super nervous because it's your first time. So you're like, oh, what's this going to be like, and being around these guys, it's like,
What I'd
oh no.
imagine being the new guy, you're just hoping you don't say something stupid, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
that'd be me. I'd be like, "Hey
yeah,
guys, like you're all pretty cool." Like, wait a minute, like I'm an
yeah.
ambassador too, right?
Yeah, right. So it was, and then when you finally get there and you get in, you check in, and you go and you meet up with everyone, and that's just when it's like the dream is coming true. It's like when it's all coming to reality, and you're just like, wow, this is so cool. And then getting to see the new models and to hear all the new tech and to ride them and to enjoy them and to really, you know, just enjoy them with a great group of guys, Rob Koning, Troy Olson. Uh, we had a blast. Those guys were so much fun to be around. The film crew was great. They were amazing as well. It was just an all around great time. Everybody had a great attitude. It was just so much fun to ride the stuff and to be in all their presences. It just was it was super cool.
It's
Really
probably
was.
pretty surreal. Like these are people like you've been following in the industry for
Right.
forever, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
to be able to kind of sit there and look over your shoulders and see the Brett
Right.
Rasmussens and
Oh
the
yeah.
all these
Yeah.
other folks. And I know some of the folks weren't able to cross the border with all the COVID stuff
Right.
going on around the world
Right.
too. So I remember seeing the morning of the event. Dave Nerona was out backcountry skiing, looking over
Right.
his hometown as he was there,
Yeah.
but he checked
Yeah.
in virtually as he could and
Yeah,
that
we
kind of thing.
definitely miss them guys, that's for sure. They're an important part of the team, and
Yeah.
we definitely miss them a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for
And so
sure.
when you're at this event and you're going through this new product launch, do they start you out like in kind of like a meeting room with presentations, or is it just let's hey go outside and start looking at sleds together? Like
Yeah, it's
what's
pretty
that?
much, hey, let's go outside. We're gonna go out in the barn, and we're gonna go check these out, and gonna look them all over, and then they go over the new tech with you and the
Yeah,
new options, and then you start, doing doing shots and videos and stuff, and bringing things to life, and just to see how everything is brought to life was an amazing experience. It really was.
I bet.
People don't realize how much time, work, effort, energy, just everything that it takes to put all this together.
I bet. Yeah.
Just to bring the videos together and everything. It's a super lot of work, but man, do they do an epic job. It is truly amazing.
Cool, cool. Well, the one thing I want to kind of set the stage for, and it's kind of it's interesting because it's kind of a little bit of the history of our relationship as well too, is the idea
Right,
that Jon Ferrian's kind of the mountain guy and John Gibbs is kind of the East Coast trail guy, right? Like,
right,
you
right,
guys are, trail riding and lake racing and, and
right.
I'm originally a Midwest guy. And so that kind of riding I'm very familiar with. And I lived in New Hampshire for a couple of seasons and got to ride up there in the Pittsburgh, New Hampshire area and northern, all
Oh,
of northern New Hampshire. I got to ride quite a bit. And so super familiar with the type of riding you do. And one thing that our show doesn't do a lot of is talk about the trail segment stuff too. So I'm actually honored to have a guy of your caliber of riding skills and background and knowledge, also with the Skidoo Ambassador program, to highlight that segment of the sport that we don't always get to talk about on my show because we're
sure.
always talking about avalanche safety and education and just
Right, right.
backcountry safety and stuff too, and a lot of that comes with the western riding, right? And
Sure.
so we'll get into that a little bit because you did do some mountain riding while you're out there too, we talked about, and we'll get to that. But let's talk a little bit about what kind of up to this point, like what's your main ride the last several years before you even became an ambassador? Like, what have you been riding? Just give people that grounding, that
Right.
context of like what you're familiar with.
So I've been on Skidoo only for 38 years, and I spring order every year since about '05. So since 2017, I've been on the G4 chassis.
Okay.
We had the MXZX came out first, so I was on that, and then I was on another MXZ XRS 129 in 18. Then I went to the Renegade XRS in 19. 20, I was on the Backcountry XRS, and I'm on the Backcountry XRS and a Renegade X now, that I have now. Both phenomenal machines. Really, really nice machines. Super happy with them. The way that they perform out here on the terrain that we have is
Yeah.
just phenomenal.
What
Yeah.
track length do you typically order when you order?
Usually 137 or 146. The
Okay.
backcountry is a great sled for us off trail and on. I like the 146 and the 154 with a 2-inch track. Seems to work real well for us here.
Very good.
Um, yeah,
So
yeah, super
basically,
happy.
a crossover type sled is what you're
Sure.
riding, right? But it's like the
Right,
XRS is like the top of the heap when it comes to shock packages, performance
right.
setup. You know, it's kind of the best
See,
of the best, so everything that you can get on it. And so the kind of that's kind of the baseline of what your experience has been. And so now being
right.
able to go to the Skidoo, launch event and see the latest and greatest. Like I know there was a couple of things that stuck out to me when I heard the Skidoo launch. One is that MX Z, the Mach Z,
Yes,
right? So
yes,
the
that
Mach Z, that was a big one, and then the other one was the new Smart Shocks, right? So I
right,
for sure want
right.
to hit on both of those. To me, those kind of really
Sure,
stood out. But you just take it and go with it, buddy. Let's talk about the
sure.
trail segment. What sleds
Yeah,
did you get to ride? What stood out to you? What did you love?
sure,
What's new cool tech that's coming out this year?
sure. So the first I was pretty lucky. The first machine that I got to get on and ride when we got there was the Mach Z. So that thing was super impressive. It is a super amazing machine. Just you hold your sport button up for 2 seconds and you grab the brake and that activates launch mode. It brings the RPMs up 200 RPM, and then you smash the throttle and the machine's making all these popping noises and getting you all wound up and excited, and you let off that brake and hit the throttle, and the sled just takes off like a rocket. The launch mode is so impressive. It really was. It was mind blowing. The difference between not having it and having it was phenomenal.
Yeah,
Uh, Super fun sled to ride. The seat was extremely comfortable. Really liked the seat. The handling was impressive,
yeah.
very impressive. The smart shocks. So what the smart shocks do? So there's 5 sensors on the sled that are all taking, up to 50 times a second. It's all taking rider input, sled input, everything that's going on in the machine is going through these sensors. And so the Smart Shocks, you have three modes that's on the dash, which is Comfort, Sport, and Sport Plus. And Comfort, I would say Comfort mode would be comparable to an X package, gives you that nice, soft, comfortable ride. And then Sport, you get into the XRS, which is a little bit stiffer, it still gives you a real nice ride, but it's a stiffer ride for the bump, seems to help a lot. And then you get into Sport Plus, which is, really bad moguls, whooped out stuff.
Snowcross
And
racing type.
right, right. It really is. But what the Smart Shocks do that's so impressive is in the corner. So when you're coming in and you're going into the corner, instead of your sled diving in or down or out into the corner, it actually holds the sled level through the corner. So you can actually ride the sled through the corner. It was impressive because it was different. It was a different type of riding style that you had to kind of, it was like, wow, you can relearn this a little bit. You can do things a little bit more extreme.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I'm picturing is like, the old days of me trail riding. It's been probably 10, 15 years now since I've been out there really ripping on the trail sleds, but
Right,
every sled ever made, your front suspension is tied together with a sway bar, right? And it
right,
helps a little bit, but you always have that, that lean in, right? Like as you're making that outside
correct,
corner, the sled's going to lean in. And now you've
correct.
got shock technology that will sense that and stiffen its
Oh,
valves up like as you're going around a corner
oh
to
yeah,
just make that thing like rail like it's on a like it's a Tron train
yeah.
rails, right?
It is. It's so impressive. Even when if the machine, so let's say you take a jump and the machine goes airborne, the machine knows that it's airborne and compensates
Yeah.
the landing. It's like it's super impressive technology. I'm super
Yeah.
excited for everybody to get out and try it and hear their reviews on it. But super impressed.
I
We
even heard
move on
Smart
from
Shocks make a really good cappuccino too. Is that true? Is that are they that good? Do they make cappuccinos like New England, like a Dunkin' Donuts black coffee,
yeah,
out there?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny.
They don't make
So we
coffee,
move
so they don't make coffee, but
right,
there's some
right.
pretty amazing shocks. It sounds like.
They are. They really are. It's amazing technology, and I'm glad we got to bring that out. And then we moved on from that, and then they brought a machine back that a lot of cross country racers have been looking for, which is a competition package in a 600 R Renegade XRS. Comes pull start from the factory, two limiter straps, rail braces, KYB 40 shocks all the way around, two ply track. Um, Gosh, there's so much. Comes with a low windshield, side deflectors, and this sled replaces the Iron Dog sled. This is
Gotcha.
their factory cross country sled, spring order only. Really fun machine to ride. Loved riding that sled. Probably one of the sleds, other than the Mach Z, that impressed me the most in the trail segment was the Renegade Enduro with the new 130 horsepower motor. They
Okay.
removed the intercooler from the 150 horsepower that they had last year,
Okay.
and
So
just
let's
a
just clarify
super.
for everybody, those motors you're talking about are four-stroke motors, which
That's correct.
in the mountain segment, there's not
Right.
much for four
Right.
strokes out there too. And
Right.
so this may be new information for folks, but Skidoo's had a 900 turbo, right, that they've had for the
Right.
last, is a couple seasons it's been now.
Yeah. Couple seasons. Yep. Yep.
And so
Yep.
it's been rated at 150 horsepower for a trail
Correct.
performance sled where, weight's not as critical of an issue like it is in the mountain riding. It's
Correct.
been one of the sleds to beat. Like 150 horse and a four-stroke turbo has been just a
Right.
ripper of a sled in, the Midwest and East Coast riding. And what they did is they took that 900 engine and they basically took it and split it two ways, right? Like they took away
Yeah.
some of the
Yeah.
same engine,
Yeah.
but
They took.
they
Right. They took
boosted
the
it for the
intercooler.
yeah.
Right.
So talk about the differences between now the 130 horse and the 180 horse.
Right.
But let's talk
Right.
about
So
with the
we have
130 first.
So we have a 900 Ace, which is a non-aspirated, which is just a regular 95 horsepower four-stroke motor.
Okay.
Um, that's a real good trail machine. And then we jump up from there to the new motor, which is a 130 horsepower motor, which they removed the intercooler from the last year's model, which would have been 150 horsepower. They
Okay.
removed that. But the sled impressed me so much. They that Enduro, they brought the R Motion X rear suspension to that sled, plus the RAS X front suspension as well to the front end. So that sled has been totally like reworked and redone. And with that motor, even though it's a four-stroke, it was still light, agile. You were able to throw it around. You could still hit triple digits. Just I was blown away by the sled. It was super fun. I had a lot of fun on that machine. Um, Really good. And then they have, so the Renegade, you actually, in the Renegade package, you can actually get 5 engines in that package, which is really, really kind of cool.
Yeah.
And the new engine this year is the 900 Ace 900 Turbo R, which is the 180 horsepower motor that they
Yeah.
have come out with this year. That's in the Mach Z. And you can also get it in the XRS and the Renegade line as well. Super strong motor. That thing was so fun to drive. We had a Renegade X there in that 900 Turbo R, 180 horse, and we got to ride that. That was amazing too. It's just a super fun sled to ride, yeah, and it was weird because we had some two strokes there too, some 850s, but being from out east and going out west and seeing at elevation what happens to two strokes, it's really
With
quite mind blowing.
yeah, without
You
turbos.
you're losing
Well,
power.
the
Yeah,
thing is like
yeah,
your four stroke, you're technically losing power too on the non on the natural aspirated ones, right? But these 900
right,
turbo engines, they're turboed, right? And so they're
yeah,
building boost,
right.
and they're compensating for the
Oh
elevation and
yeah.
all that kind of stuff, right?
Right, 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 right. So the 850s, they were running about 30% less power. So
Yeah.
it was still fun, but it wasn't what it is here. And we get the full beef of all the motor here. So it's so
Yeah.
much more,
Well, because
noticeable and
East
fun.
Coast riding, what elevations are you riding at? Probably 500 to 1500 is kind of the range you're in, or what? Yeah.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah. We just don't, as much as I wish we did, but we
All
just
good.
don't here. It was kind of epic to see the elevations that I saw and to see the riding that I saw and stuff. It was pretty epic. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was. Yeah.
it's awesome. So anything,
Yeah.
so the Mach Z and I think a few of the other models have basically they bumped up that 900 motor in the, I don't remember what is it a 900R or what do they call the top
It's a
performance?
900R
Yeah.
turbo. Yeah, 900R they call it. Yeah,
Yeah,
turbo.
and they
And you
bumped
can
that
get
one
that.
up to 180 horse, I think, right?
Correct, correct. Yep. And you can get the Smart Shocks on any Renegade XRS. So you
Okay.
can get Smart Shocks on that, which is a real neat feature for this year. I think people will really like that a lot. The people
Yeah.
that order it, and I think they'll be really happy. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Great,
very
great,
cool.
great, great machine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there anything
Yeah.
else in kind of that trail or crossover segment that you want to highlight before we jump into some of the mountain stuff you got to ride?
No, we didn't get to ride really much mountain stuff. We got to see a lot of the mountain stuff and see
Okay.
see the other guys riding, was cool. But as far as riding a lot of it, they had us doing a lot of the trail segment stuff,
Gotcha.
and they had the mountain guys doing the mountain segment stuff. But
Makes sense.
the new free ride is super super cool. I love the new color. The military color that they have on that is amazing, and the new Summit Expert. They have the new 34 to 36 front end, which I think a lot of folks will like that
Yeah.
ride the steep and deep. It'll help them, on their panel out and washout and everything else, and how they ride. I think it will in the tight trees and everything else. I think it'll be a welcoming thing for them. The turbo's just been flawless. The 850 turbo has been flawless from the factory. People have just been it's
I
just been a
mean,
flawless machine.
yeah,
It
I've got
really
over
has. I
600 miles on mine now. I think it's 616 miles in that range on mine. It's a 21, 2021 all
right,
black expert
right,
850 turbo. And yeah, I've been super impressed with it. And, like when I go to
yeah,
McCall, like I was just in McCall this weekend, we're riding 7,000 feet, in elevation. And
right,
we're in Washington, I'm riding, 3,500 to 4,500 feet, maybe get up to 5,000
sure, sure,
sometimes. And so the cool part is I can have that consistent power at any of the elevations, right? And so,
right, right,
my own
right,
personal experience, I would tell you, is because I've still got a Skidoo 850 naturally aspirated, a 154 2.5 inch track,
sure,
and then I've got the turbo. Both have the same ski width, and there is a little bit of a noticeable difference between the turbo and the non-aspirated with that ski stance. And so my imagination is telling me when you go to that 34-inch ski stance, it's actually going to probably make it feel very similar to the naturally aspirated as far as how it
sure,
performs in there in kind of the what I would call the crappy Washington snow, right? Like we don't get
right,
the McCall Epic Deep Powder that you guys all saw me ripping on just this weekend.
right,
A lot
right.
of times we get some pretty set up snow, but what I find is that even my turbo is when you're in McCall type snow, it doesn't matter what sled you're on. The thing just floats and you get
Right,
to the best of the both worlds there too. But
right.
yeah, that
Yeah, some of the
850,
guys have over 3,000 miles on their factory turbos. Some of the
yeah,
other riders, and it's phenomenal. It's been a great, great sled, a great machine, a lot of happy riders, and everybody seems to love them. So I think it's great. I really do. I will tell you this: Skidoo is really, really focused on the rider. I will say that
okay,
it's really cool to be a part of a team that is so focused on the rider and trying to make their riding experience the best it can be.
yep,
I,
that's
I really
awesome.
I think it's really awesome.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. And so you riding in the western part of the country, we can't say where you're at, but riding in
Right.
the west, you got to see for your first time firsthand what goes into preparing and thinking
Oh
about
yeah.
riding the backcountry and in avalanche terrain, right? So you shared a
Right.
little bit of this with me on the phone separately, but why don't you share with everybody else kind of your aha moment and what really woke
Right.
you up and because I laugh a little bit because it's like I know there's content that I've shared sometimes on some of your pages and you're like, John, this is kind of an East Coast thing, we don't do mountain bike, but I go like, but
Right.
John, there's like people who go from your area, I know personally, who
Right.
drive out
Right.
to Wyoming and to Idaho and all
Right.
these places to go
It's true.
ride. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
like I try to not overburden you guys with content, but the Nest page,
Right.
I try to when there's something that comes up good, I try to share it out. And I know there's sometimes been this perception of like, that's not our thing out here, right?
Correct.
And you
Correct.
now got to experience it for the first time, and you had a little bit of this awakening or an aha moment. So
Yes.
tell us about
Yeah.
it.
I did. So I'll tell you, sitting there with everybody and watching them gear up, I think brought a big wake up moment to me. Just seeing the guys, you know, from the knee pads to the beacons to the radios to the avy bags, everything, to the poles, to making sure they had all their gear and everybody's checking each other to make sure the radios are on and everything's working. And it's like when those guys are all going out together, they're a team, and it's like they're all looking out for each other. Nobody's just concerned about themselves and I'm just going off over here. We'll see you later. And if you don't hear my can anymore, come look for me. That's that's
It's
not
not how it
how it
goes, right? Yeah.
is. No, it's really not. I mean, they're all a team. They're all looking out for each other and all making sure everybody's safe, has the right equipment, has the right stuff, you know. And Skidoo's very involved in avalanche safety as well. They try to be. They want to do more, I'm sure. And all the guys, all the ambassadors, the mountain guys are very involved in the avalanche training and stuff. And it was really awakening to see them all, you know, just get ready and what they were doing, and then the elevations and terrain they're riding, and then at night to hear the stories from them guys that have, had been riding, and some of them have been in avalanches. Some of them have had to rescue somebody in avalanches. To hear those stories, and it kind of brings it all together as to how important it is to have the right gear, the right tools.
Yeah.
If you're going to head out and do that type of riding, you really need to know your game. I mean, these guys all have apps. They're checking their apps, multiple apps, checking where the avalanche, you know, danger is, how the snow is here. I'm sure there's
Oh
multiple
yeah.
apps that tell you everything, and it's just there's a lot that goes into it to make sure that the group you're going with is safe and going to make it back home at the end of the night.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot that goes into it, and it definitely needs to be brought to more people's attention because there's a false sense of security. I've ridden this area over here for 15 years, and there's never been a washout or an avalanche, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
That mentality is just not the right mentality to have, especially now where it seems like certain states are changing and their snow totals and how the snow is and the snowpack, and
That's the thing is
there's so
the
many.
snow is different every year. Like there's never a
Yes,
single season that's the same, and you can ride the
that's right.
same areas every single year and experience something different. It could be very similar, and you might not, even though the snowpack underneath you might be different, like there could be things underneath there, like right now. Like if you come to Washington State, there's a persistent weak layer down in there that's pretty nasty and pretty ugly, and you might ride around all weekend, not triggering anything, and be good to go, but you just hit the right spot at the right place, and if you're not aware of what you're doing, it can go big, and it could be the end of whoever it
Oh
is
yeah,
that was out there. So
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So if you're out riding on steep and deep in the terrain, get your avalanche training. It
yeah.
will save your life,
And
or
I
at
know
least
and I know a
somebody.
guy who can hook you up with that, right? So for
Yes,
those who
that's right.
maybe haven't watched John Ferrian live before,
That's right.
the main I'll just kind of
Papa
do a little
John will take care of you.
yeah, a little plug for what I do here every week is we talk about snowmobile safety and education with a really heavy focus on avalanche education and training. And
Yeah,
I've actually partnered with ARI, which is the American Institute for Avalanche Research and Education. They're the ones who build the curriculum for all the level one, level two, ARI trainings around the country that folks like Brett Rasmussen, other ambassadors from other companies, including Matt
right.
Enns, Brian Lundstedt, the Mountain Riding Lab. All those folks are ARI providers. And what we're doing is we're creating a scholarship program to help get other educators educated to create more resources for all of us to be able to go out. There's actually recreational scholarships as well too. But if you actually go to the ARI website, you can actually go look up Live Large University Scholarship Program, and you can apply for it. And really, the only thing that we ask is that if you apply for it, you're doing something to help, kind of grow the idea of avalanche awareness and stuff within the
Right.
industry. You could be somebody maybe part of a club, or you ride with a lot of people in a key group. Maybe you're
Help get the word out.
yeah, maybe you're a guide somewhere and you haven't had your avalanche training yet, which, heaven forbid that's not going on still, but I know it does. Or you want to become an avalanche instructor, right? So all of those are things that you could apply for the scholarship program that we do. and all the things that you guys have seen me wear, the Live Large hats and the shirts, all the proceeds from all that merchandise that I sell through the show and through the website and stuff that we have, all goes to Erie to help provide this motorized recreational, and
Right.
professional avalanche training to get everybody going.
Awesome. Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
a lot of good stuff. So.
Yes, it is.
Man, we've talked through a bunch of stuff, kind of high level. Anything that you think we missed that you want to kind of dive into? Do you want to, like, if anybody has any
Um,
questions, great time right now.
yeah,
Anything about
another
Skidoo?
new machine that they came out in the mountain segment this year that will be it's an in-season model, but the new Summit Edge is a
Don't
really nice
don't
neat
forget,
new
we got to talk a
machine.
little bit about the Lynx too. I almost forgot. So I know you
Yes,
didn't get to ride them, but you got to see some of them.
no,
It sounds like, right?
yes, yeah,
So anyway, let's
yeah.
go back to what you were talking about first. I didn't mean to interrupt you. My
No,
apologies.
that's fine. That's fine. No, I think some of the mountain guys will really enjoy the new Summit Edge. That's going to be an in-season model. It gives you a few more features over the SP model.
Yeah.
It's got the short tunnel, um, a few other neat features that I think people really like. Some cool colors.
Yeah, it's very
Um,
similar. I mean, I've done some research myself on the, I'm a Skidoo guy, so as soon as that stuff comes out,
right.
I dive
Oh
into it
yeah,
too. And the Summit what is it called? The Edge, the Summit Edge basically
Summit
has a
Edge.
lot of the same features as what like the X package was last year, which was a snow
Correct.
check only, right? So it's got the
Correct.
the running boards, the fully
Right.
integrated running boards all the way to the front and back, that are kind of the
Right.
what do they call the thin profile? I don't know what they call them, extruded
Yeah.
aluminum all the way
Yeah.
through.
Extruded.
Snow
Yeah. Yeah.
falls through them. Short tunnel.
Yep. Yep.
Some of the shock package I think is it X package type. I don't want to
Yeah,
put words out there that I don't know for sure. So
it's an updated from the SP. I think it's an updated shock package from the SP, and then
yeah,
there's a couple other neat little features. But it's a really cool looking sled. Stephanie Dean spent a lot of time on that machine. She seemed to really like that machine a lot as well.
yeah.
So
Well, and here's what I
yeah,
love too. Like, is every manufacturer goes through their evolution, right? Like everybody always thinks they want the latest, greatest, cutting edge technology, new body style, new, which is cool. But if you're in the market for a new sled right now and Skidoo's on your ticket to buy, guess what? You've got some really, really tried and true technology that's been out there now. Gen
that's
4
right.
chassis has been out there since 2017, at least in the mountain segment. I think for the trail
Right.
segment, similar.
Yes.
That
Yep.
850 motor's been out there for quite a few years now, pretty
Yep.
dialed, and the turbo now is going into its third season. They have the 20 and a
Right.
half,
Right.
2021, and then the 2022 now coming out. And so, like, if you wanted to get in and dive into something, man, Skidoo's got it dialed in pretty tight right now. So,
They do. They do. They do. Yeah. Super focused on trying to give the rider, like I said, the best
yeah.
experience that they can have. So,
Well, and John,
uh,
and John, no BS here. Like, I'll just throw it out there. Is like I personally do not consider myself brand loyal. This is me speaking, not John Gibbs here,
right.
right? So I'm
Right.
not
Right.
brand loyal. Like, I honestly like if Polaris comes out with a better sled next year, I might buy a Polaris, right? Arctic
Yeah.
Cat came out with an Alpha One or in 2019. I bought
Right.
one.
Right.
Yeah, I had
Right.
one for 2 seasons, and frankly, I didn't like it as well as my Skidoo, so I sold it.
Right. Right.
But the
Right.
thing is right now I've been on Skidoo for so long, and the reasons I buy Skidoo personally is reliability,
Correct.
dependability,
Yes.
rugged build.
Fit and
It's a,
finish.
it's it's
Right.
a yeah,
Right.
fit and finish. It's just like I put gas and oil in my sled and just ride the crap out of them. Like that's why I like my
Right.
Skidoos. And
Yep.
what I found, between the Skidoo and my Arctic Cat Alpha One, I kept gravitating back to the Skidoo. Like I had the choice of taking whichever one I wanted that day,
Sure. Sure.
and I just kept
Right.
coming back to the Skidoo. I kept coming back to the Skidoo, and I'll be honest with you, John. Like Matrix, I keep hearing there's something cool coming from Polaris this
Yeah.
year.
I
So I can't,
know.
I can't
I
promise
know.
I'm going to be a Skidoo guy forever, but I've been pretty hardcore Skidoo for a long time. But I would tell you, like right now today, based on what's out there in the industry, I've got my Dream Sled, which is that Skidoo Expert Turbo. Like
Yeah.
it's an
That's
amazing
awesome.
machine, and I love it. And it
Right.
takes a pretty good
You,
beating. Turns out you can
right.
smoke trees with it, and like the A
Oh yeah.
arms.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
I
I
mean,
I
you guys
love.
saw that video. You guys saw that video, right? And like this is all that happened. Like that's pretty good. Like
Yeah, it is.
I actually rode it for like 3 hours after the accident, and like I rode it around like down the trail. I was still hitting jumps. I was going off the side. The thing was handling like I think my ski was like a little bit cockeyed, but
Yeah.
it took I hit that tree pretty good, and I went flying over the handlebars, and that thing held up pretty good. I can't complain.
Oh, it's
And
so
and I
funny.
checked my bulkhead and all that stuff. No cracks in the bulkhead. The shock came out fine.
Awesome.
Lower A arm survived, just the upper. I think it's the way I hit it. Like the tree was like this, and I
Right.
think I hit it a little bit of a down angle. So I think it
Yeah,
was just
yeah.
the upper A arm smoked pretty good. So
I mean, I love Skidoo, but that doesn't mean everybody has to love Skidoo. We just as long we don't care what people ride. We just care that you ride. You're out riding,
that's what
enjoying
it's
the
all about.
outdoors with friends, family, having a good time.
Yeah,
That's really what it's all about. Just getting out, having
yeah.
a good time with friends, family, enjoying life. That's all that really matters. At the end of the day, that's all that really matters.
Well, what if I'm from Finland? Can I buy a Skidoo or do I have to buy a Lynx? Oh, wait, I can do that in North
Oh,
America. Now, let's talk about Lynx for a
yes.
minute. Give us a little bit of
So we have
background on what's going on Lynx.
So they've brought two models available. So previously, you could only get Lynx overseas. They're made in Finland for the Scandinavian people, and in Scandinavia, for like let's say their trail segment that they call their trail segment, they don't have trail groomers. There's no grooming. There's no groom trails. There's nothing that happens over there. So people out riding, they're riding whooped out stuff, that's mogully or mountainy or whatnot. So we have the Lynx Rave RE, excuse me, Lynx Rave
Rave.
RE. That's
It's
how
hard
it's
to
supposed
say
to be.
that with your New England accent, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So, so we have the Rave RE, which it really is a super, super nice sled. The shock package on the machine is absolutely phenomenal. Some of the ergonomics on the machine are
I heard
are,
the
are
shock
really,
shafts are like the size of a baby's arm. Like, is that
yeah,
true?
they are, they're 46 millimeter. They're
Wow.
the real deal,
Yeah.
the really, really nice shock package on the sled. It's a PP3 rear suspension that sled has on it, which is a completely different rear suspension than what we have, the C motion, the tear motion, and
Yeah.
the R motion. Um, and the front end is 43-inch ski stance, so you get a little bit wider ski stance. The skis are different. Um, the hood's different. Um, not not really much else. You get some
Yeah.
driver footrests that come in, which a lot of people like. Skidoo has always offered driver footrests forever,
Yeah.
since like '05. They used to come on the '05, '06s from the factory, but they've always been an accessory. Driver
Yeah.
footrests, they're super, super awesome. I run them every year.
Yeah.
They also come with, it's not a lateral foot plate like on the Skidoo, but it's like a block off plate where your feet could turn outside on the running board. It can. It kind of blocks them off,
Okay.
which some people like, some people don't like. It all depends on what style rider you are.
Yeah.
And then we have the Lynx Boondocker model, which I think is going to be
It's kind of like
a
a free
really
ride. It's like a free ride on steroids, from my take on it. Like, I
right,
mean,
right. Yes,
here's to
that's
me
the best.
here's like I'm not quite the guy for this, but I got the guy pegged for this. Like the person who wants a Lynx is one of two people. Either they are gonna abuse that machine
That's it.
beyond the
Yeah,
capability. Like if there's somebody who buys a free ride and throws the shocks away and goes puts bigger, beefier shocks on their free ride and then reinforces everything, like that's what the Lynx is,
right.
right? The Lynx is
Yeah, yeah.
just designed to
It's a
just go
beast.
drop
Yeah,
off of like skyscrapers and land it, right?
right.
And then on top of
It's a
that,
beast.
like it's different, it's unique, and I think that's the other piece. You'll
It
have two
is.
people buying it: the people who truly will push it to its limits, which
Correct.
is the tried and true 850 motor, naturally aspirated, no turbo available. But the
Correct.
other one is the person who just wants to stand out and be unique, right? Because
That's
as
right.
of right now, there's no Lynx in the United States other than the ones that just showed up, but
That's
it's,
correct. That's correct. They
so
do have other models and that they offer in Finland and Scandinavia. They're
yeah,
not available here. As of right now, we only have two models that are available, and that will be it for this model here anyway.
yeah,
If things go well, maybe there will be more. I don't know. I have no
yeah,
idea what the future brings, but they're definitely machines that will take some serious abuse. Definitely, they're for a hardcore rider. Um, even the trail model, it's a totally uncoupled rear suspension. So even as a 137-inch, it's going to give you a fun ride.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Probably a wheelie
so
machine. So awesome,
yes, yeah,
awesome, awesome. Well, John, what else do we want to share with everybody tonight before we wrap this up? Because I think looking through my notes, I think we've caught pretty much all of
yes,
our
sir.
things we wanted to cover
That's
tonight.
right. Yeah. Yes,
Are you good
that's
then?
right.
Okay. I don't
I'm
see,
good, buddy.
yeah, I don't see any other questions coming in. But what I would just remind everybody is like, hey, if you haven't already, share this out. Love just getting the shows out, and you're entered to win again a Fly Racing jersey. We got that up for grabs for anybody who shares the show tonight. And here's my hard part. I try to get my head wrapped around is, holy smokes, I'm way over here in Seattle, and you're way the heck over on the East Coast
I
right now
know.
in New
It's
Hampshire.
so
Like
cool.
we are literally over 3,000 miles away from each other right now, but
Yeah,
on TV, we're like this far away. Like that's
I
all.
know.
Like that's how far away we are. Right there, I can see it.
I know. It's so cool.
It's so cool to be able to do this. I appreciate
It
the.
is. I really appreciate it, John. And I appreciate everybody that's watching, and I hope they heed your advice and get involved in avalanche training and help save a life.
Yep,
So
absolutely. So God bless everybody. Have a great night, and don't forget to live large. Have a great
that's
night.
right.
All right,
All right,
bye.
guys. Bye.